Alright. Hi everyone. It's me, Sailor Moon. And today I was going to do a film talking about something, but I didn't like where it was going. I didn't know how to say it right. So I'm not going to say it. Not going to make that film. Because the way that I word it isn't going to mean the way that I mean it, and it's just going to get me in a bind. So, anyway, you have these folks, and I have talked about this many times, about how you have these folks who hate the Deke one and bitch about all the shifts that were done to it. But what these folks forget is that if it was not for the Deke one, then no one would know what Sailor Moon was. And that's the truth. See, um back in 9 between 95 YL, very few folks had the Reckoner at their home. A lot of folks, the only way they ever worked with the Reckoner was either at the Learn Hall, the book house, and that was it. And the only way you could really buy one back then was either one, you were either a business, two, a Learn Hall, which is a business, you were either a healing house or a book house, or you just happened enough and you kept all your gals for a long time. So back then, having a one's own reckoner at the house was a daydream. They were way too much. Not as much as a house or a far card. Those things were worth way more than the reckoner, but it was up there. So there are very few folks that would know what Sailor Moon was up until that time. So a lot of folks they bitch about the Deke one. Oh, I didn't like the show players. Oh, who spoke for them. Oh, I didn't like these names, their names being shifted, or strike names being shifted. Oh, I didn't like it that some of the followings weren't worked on. I didn't like the song or whatever. Well, if it wasn't for Deke and all the work they put into it, no one would know what Sailor Moon was. And keep in mind, back then, there were oversights on live drawing shows about what you could or could not do or say or could not say in them back then. So Deke at the time had to follow the FCC oversight on how handling outer land. Yeah, I guess it'd be with outside live drawing shows. Um, and there were a lot of things they had to do to shift it out to make it where it would be right. And I'm not going to go and talk about all that, but we all know. So my show was not the first show to have that done to it, and my show is not the last. The grounds to why Pioneer and Cloverway didn't have to do as much to it as Deke did, because by that point the whole rating or guessing system came out around that time. So it was then they didn't have to do that much. Back then there was none. They didn't have any of it. So whatever it wasn't like now where you have a guessing layout for every Farseer show. And but back then it wasn't the law, so you didn't have to put any of that in there. But you did have to follow oversight over how what you could do in the show and not. So anyway, that would always be Sailor Moon to me. You know, Deke put a lot of work into it, with their own shifting between the song, their own songs, the way that they made things. They put a lot of hard work into it. And folks can bitch and they can scave all they want about it. But at the end of the day, Deke did a lot of more hard work to it. And if it was not for Deke working with Sailor Moon at the time, no one would know what Sailor Moon was. Alright? If it wasn't for Deke and what they did, then Pioneer and Cloverway would have not even gotten a deal so you can work with Sailor Moon if it wasn't for what Deke did. So a lot of folks out there get on the high horse and they talk about, oh, how the Viz one is good. Well, don't get me wrong, the Viz one is good, and I don't have any hang up with it. I like the Viz one. I like the Pioneer one and the Cloverway one. But these are the same folks that bitch about the Deke one. Yeah, you're right, Sailor Moon. We made so many films over the years talking about these folks and them hating the Deke one and bitching about it and scathing it and everything like that. But a lot of these folks don't know that if it wasn't for the Deke one, they wouldn't even know what Sailor Moon was. And it wasn't like they could. It wasn't like now where everyone knows what everything is and everybody's got the interweb and stuff. See, these folks that were bitching about it now were folks that back in 19 between 95 YL and whatever were like, what Sailor Moon? They wouldn't know. The only reckoners they had was at the Learn Hall or the Book House, and that was it. And a very few folks even had them at their own homes. You know? So, you folks can bitch all you want about the Deke one. You can say how bad it is. But at least, but I'll always like that one. And at the end of the day, that's going to be the one that I'm mostly going to, when I think of Sailor Moon, that's mostly the one I think of. Don't get me wrong. The Pioneer and the Pioneer and the Cloverway one were good too. I like those as well. But at the end of the day, the one I'm going to think about first before I think about the other two is the Deke one. And you folks out there, I think you just bitch one and nag for just bitch one and nag. Yeah, were things flawless? No, they were not. But unlike you folks, I don't get irked, mad, and wretched over shit like you do. Over shit no one should be getting mad over. Oh, how the show playing's done? Names being shifted? Stead names being shifted? Stripe names being shifted? Songs? Sailor Says stuff? I mean, come on, you folks. I don't even take. At the end of the day, there was no grounds for that. Yeah. You're right, Sailor Mini Moon. At the end of the day, there was no grounds for any of it. All the hate that it gets over the years from Sailor Moon followers, in the back of their mind, they know if it wasn't for Deke's offshoot of Sailor Moon, they would not know what Sailor Moon was. And Sailor Moon would have not been as big as it was in the New World between Settled Land, the Onted Reichs, and the rest of the English-speaking world. The down under world or whatever, the old world. If it wasn't for that, Sailor Moon would have not been as big as it was. If it wasn't for here, if it wasn't for that, for the Deke. And guess what? You folks, you wouldn't even been bitching about Sailor Moon, bitching about my show, if you wouldn't have seen the Deke one. Alright? And you folks out there can like whatever offshoot you want. If you like the Toei offshoot, which is the one that all the ones offshoot are from, good for you. If you like the Viz one, good. I like the Viz one too. You like the Pioneer and Cloverway? I like Pioneer and Cloverway too. But at the end of the day, the Deke one is the one that when I first think of Sailor Moon, it's probably the first one that's going to come up first before the other two, before the other three. And you folks would not even known what Sailor Moon was or been bitching about it today if it wasn't for the Deke one. Alright? So let's just be earnest about that. you folks, if Deke didn't get the right to do Sailor Moon back in 19 between 95 YL, you folks wouldn't have been bitching about it now. And hey, let's be earnest about that. If you thought the Deke one was bad, then that had been nothing on the Toon Makers one. You're right, Sailor Moon. Well, now we're gonna end this film now because we're getting about 10 minutes into the film, and we do want to give, and we don't want to make a long film. All right, Sailor Moon, Sailor Mini Moon. See you later.